Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. So today we're going to be continuing the series on the MiSTer FPGA DE10 Nano project, and today I'm going to be doing a video that you guys keep asking me to do, going over the TapTo card loading system and near-field communication reader for MiSTer FPGA. Because there's more than one way to launch a game on MiSTer, and because it doesn't take cartridges, I know a lot of you love the NFC cards in TapTo because it lets you have a tangible physical object that feels like a video game that you can load into your MiSTer. And big thanks to Wizzo for sending all of this over. There's no preconditions, but I didn't want to let you guys know he did send it to me for review. And honestly, it's a ton of fun, and I totally understand why people really gravitate towards this. Because on the analog side of things, we do have consoles that read the original cartridges, but obviously MiSTer FPGA does not do that. So this is a very nice middle ground where you have an object that you could use to do whatever you want with and really have a physical game library on these NFC cards. And the best part is the reader is tiny, super easy to use. I'm going to show you how to set it up and basically review the entire thing. So all this is a case with a really nice sticker on it. Love the new artwork, and inside there's an NFC reader and writer. And if you're not familiar with NFC technology is, just think about your credit card when you tap to pay. It is a variant of that. Obviously that's going to be a little bit more encrypted because it is your credit card information, and if you really don't care how it works, just call it magic. And honestly, there's so many different TapTo cards, sticker designs, and the like that you can get. You really can build out your library however you want. These are the TapTo cards that came with the Marsupial M3 system, and they have their own unique look. You can get stickers from different people for different consoles. You can have stuff that looks like Neo Geo cartridges, pretty much anything under the sun. And I do love the fact that this allows for basically maximum creativity. Although you don't need to get your own custom stickers, you can really do whatever you want. So this is the TapTo reader. It's going to hook up to your MiSTer FPGA however you have your system set up, and it's going to go in over USB. It's a really fun, elegant design, and it is tiny. You'll see here if I put my MiSTer FPGA triple stack aluminum case from Mr. Addons over the top, it absolutely disappears. And on one end of the card you're going to have USB-C, my favorite connector because you cannot plug it in the wrong way. So high marks for using that. It also keeps the TapTo case relatively thin because a USB-A connector would have grown a little bit in size. Now the other thing you need to do to hook this up to your MiSTer FPGA, pretty obvious, but I'll tell you guys, is you need to plug in the USB end in. And obviously it's USB-A, so I have to pick it wrong the first time, and only the second try do I actually get it inserted. And that is the thing with USB-A, it doesn't matter how many times you try, you are guaranteed 100% of the time to guess wrong. And that's all you need to do to physically connect TapTo to your MiSTer FPGA, but there is some software set up. It is quite easy and uses a phone app for either iOS or Android, and I'll walk through that as well. So to get the TapTo software on your MiSTer FPGA, you're going to want to pop into Update All, and you're going to see that you have a bunch of different options in here for extra content and extra cores. If we go down to Tools and Scripts and we enable Wizzo extensions to on and update MiSTer FPGA, it's going to bring all the software down, including the TapTo software, so you'll be ready to use this. Now we have the card physically connected to the MiSTer FPGA. You can tap a card, and if it's pre-programmed, it will load itself up. Or you can play my new favorite game, throwing TapTo cards at the reader from across the room and seeing whether or not I can get them to scan. Honestly, this reader is very sensitive in a good way, and maybe 2 out of 10 times that I actually hit the TapTo reader with the card, it will launch the game. No, I don't recommend doing this, I'm just being stupid, but it is what I do on the channel. I like to throw things, and you guys know that. And do be aware that some other pre-built systems will have TapTo built in, so you're going to see this in multiple different variants. If you get the Marsupial M3 system, it's going to have a TapTo reader on the left side of the console with a sticker, and inside you're going to see this NFC reader. This is very similar to what you're going to see if you open up the TapTo case, but I don't recommend that. It really doesn't have any screws, and if you want to take a look at it, just look on the screen, because if you open the case, odds are you're probably going to break something. Now you do have a phone app to use with this, and it's going to use your NFC reader and writer on your phone. I have iOS, so that's what you're going to be looking at here, but it works on Android as well. You'll see I scanned a blank card and the text is blank. That text is basically just the linking to the games folder and ROM you want to use. I scanned a pre-programmed card for Cyberforce here, and you're going to see it comes up with all of the information. So if you tap that card on the TapTo reader, it's going to know exactly where to go. Additionally, you can write your own custom text for your cards. If you want to link something by hand, you're just going to type in all of the shortcuts here to get to the ROM in the folder, and then you'll go ahead and tap the card over your phone so that it writes to that blank card. I find that it works best if you're about 1/4 to 1/2 inch off of the phone. That's just how iPhones work, nothing to do with TapTo, just something to do with how it actually reads. When you read that card you just programmed, you'll see here the best game on MiSTer FPGA is available and ready to play. But you do need to connect this to your MiSTer FPGA's IP address. I highly recommend using a static IP that never changes versus dynamic, but if you do have a dynamic IP, it's not hard to save a new setting either. You'll see your device address. I just type in the IP off my MiSTer FPGA and I hit save, and reader mode is activated, so I know it did find it. If it doesn't find it, that means your IP address is wrong. And you're just going to go ahead and find that off of the information tab, where you'll see your overall resolution, your IP address, as well as the core and global volumes. So just go ahead and grab the IP off your MiSTer and type it into the TapTo device ID field. And then from there, you will see everything is connected. If you hit update game database, it's going to read every single game you have installed on your MiSTer FPGA. Depending on how many games you have, it takes a little bit of time. This is real time right now, and I'm just showing you how quickly it actually goes. You're going to see that it's preparing the database. It found 1,600 games, and they're now all available to write to card. So you can go ahead and just go to create a new tag and search by game and type in whatever you wanted. I thought I had Crash Bandicoot on this particular MiSTer, but I did not. So I'll go ahead and type in Splatterhouse 2 because I know that is on this build. You'll see we get multiple options depending on what ROM you have. I'll go ahead and pick the USA version, and once that's selected, you have at the bottom left hand corner the write to tag icon ready to go. That is what you're going to use to write to a blank card or overwrite a filled card, and this is what you're going to use on your TapTo device to launch the game. I hold the card over, it's ready to scan, it's written successfully. So now if I actually tap that on the TapTo reader, it's going to go ahead and launch the actual game, and I'll show you that in real time. Just be aware that when I scan it on the phone or on the TapTo reader, it does cause my capture device to lose sync, so I can't show it to you in totally real time. But basically all it does is you tap the card and it loads up the game. And you can have one of these cards, 10 of these cards, 100 of them, 1,000 of them. The sky is the absolute limit. Maybe you just want to put your 10 or 15 favorite games on, ready to go. This would also be awesome for game nights for people that aren't familiar with MiSTer FPGA. You just hand them a binder full of cards, they pick the game they want, they tap it, and it launches directly to it. Because honestly, if you've never used MiSTer before, handing somebody a controller and telling them to go play a Super Nintendo game, 9 times out of 10, they're going to get a little bit lost in the menu hierarchy. So TapTo is definitely fun for that. If you want to launch another game, you can tap another card, but be aware you can also launch games from the TapTo app. It is a $6.99 fee to give you that functionality, but it is something you can do, and Wizzo sent me over a code to activate mine. So from there, you can just basically search for any game you want. I've got Splatterhouse paused in the background, so I'll move over to Sonic the Hedgehog 2, another game I know that is installed on this particular MiSTer build for me. Once you find the game you want, you can go ahead and select it from the menu, and I've got a bunch of different versions here, and at the bottom right hand corner you can just tap play, and then it'll automatically launch into Sonic the Hedgehog 2 here. So if you want that phone functionality, you just want to sit on your couch, be able to hand somebody that, they can search your game library and play whatever they want. It is a really nice feature. And if you want to just go through all of your phone and have your library available, either as NFC cards or as something you can tap from your phone and launch, you have that functionality too. And again, it's so much fun to see the different artwork on these cards. It really does give you maximum creativity to make what you want. And I always love that. And honestly, I've seen some highly reflective stickers out there for stuff like Neo Geo, and I would love to have all the Neo Geo library on cards, just so I could kind of thumb through it and look at the different games. And again, depending on where you get these cards, you're going to have completely different styles. But the best part is setting this up takes about 8 button clicks, and the reader is absolutely flawless. Like I said, you can throw cards from across the room, and if you get it to actually hit the TapTo reader, you're probably going to get that game to load up. And again, I don't recommend you throw your hardware across the room. It is just something I love doing on camera. And again, these cards are very durable. Just don't bend them and you will be totally fine. And that is a really fun thing. And that's the great thing about MiSTer FPGA. It gives you the freedom to decide how to interact with it however you want. Do you need a TapTo reader and cards to enjoy MiSTer FPGA? Absolutely not. Do you want to add one to your setup to have a little bit more fun? You absolutely can. So between the phone app, the reader, and all of the different cards, both blank and decorated, you're going to have a lot of fun with TapTo. There's a ton of different things you can do, a ton of different art styles you can have, and it does just kind of expand and extrapolate on the MiSTer FPGA ecosystem, giving you that little bit of extra granular control as to how you interact with MiSTer. But the only wrong way to play MiSTer is not to play it at all, so definitely if you don't have one, you should pick one up. Sure, that TapTo's awesome. I'll leave a link to the website below, but we're done. I'm going to go throw some more TapTo cards from across the room and see if I can set a distance record. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.